Good morning and welcome to Story Time. Today we will start on page 61. We have 90 pages, so we're almost finished. After this week, if we don't finish, we'll work on the end of this book next week and then we'll move on. Ernie Davis. Since 1935, the Heisman Trophy has been awarded to the top college football player. From 1935 to 1960, every Heisman winner had been white. Ernie Davis, a lightning-quick halfback for the Syracuse Orangemen, became the first African-American winner, taking the trophy in 1961. A two-time All-American, Davis led his team to the national championship in 1959, his sophomore year. He was the NFL's #1 pick after his senior year. The Washington Redskins drafted him, but Davis refused to play for Redskins owner George Preston Marshall, an outspoken racist. Davis was traded to the Cleveland Browns and agreed to the most lucrative or financially profitable contract ever awarded to an NFL rookie. Tragically, Davis developed acute leukemia, a type of blood cancer, and died before he could play in a pro game. The Pittsburgh Pirates. On September 1st, 1971, 24 years after Jackie Robinson first suited up for the Brooklyn Dodgers, the Pittsburgh Pirates fielded an all-black starting lineup. Manager Danny Merton put together the roster. Believed to be the first of its kind in baseball history, only 11,278 fans were on hand to see the Pirates defeat the Phillies by a score of 10-7. The Pittsburgh club went on to win the World Series that fall. Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay. Cassius Clay was Wilma Rudolph's teammate at the 1960 Olympics. Like her, he was a gold medal winner, but few believed he had a chance when he stepped in the boxing ring against Sonny Liston on February the 25th. 1964, Clay, the pride of Louisville, Kentucky, won the world heavyweight title when Liston failed to answer the bell for the 7th round. On February 27th, the champ announced that he had joined the Nation of Islam. On March 6th, he shared his new name with the world, Muhammad Ali. He became the world's most famous athlete and an outspoken critic of racial injustice. Stripped of his heavyweight title in 1967, when he refused to serve in the military, Ali prevailed in court after a long legal battle. He went on to win the title back 2 more times. Moving on to page 62, Political Trailblazers. Kenneth Gibson, born in Alabama, Kenneth Gibson moved north with his family during the Great Migration. He arrived in Newark, New Jersey at the age of 9, where he soon discovered that segregation didn't exist only in the South. African Americans in his new city were confined to the balcony seats in local movie theaters. They weren't allowed to eat in department store restaurants. Gibson was elected mayor in 1970, becoming the first African American to head a major northeastern city. Newark, the largest city in New Jersey, had been hit hard by the riots in 1967. Factory jobs were hard to come by, and poverty was on the rise. Many residents had moved elsewhere, and the city was still recovering when Gibson took office. He served as mayor of Newark from 1970 to 1986. Chisholm for president. Just 4 years after she became the first Black woman ever elected to Congress, Shirley Chisholm became the first African American to seriously campaign for the presidency. Unbought and unbossed was her campaign slogan. She appealed to women and minorities for support, but few were ready to vote for a female candidate. Still, she managed to acquire 152 delegates, more than several of her male opponents. Years later, Chisholm said she wanted to be remembered not as the first Black woman to have made a bid for the presidency of the United States, but as a Black woman who lived in the 20th century and who dared to be herself. I want to be remembered as a catalyst for change in America. Convention in Gary. On March 10, 1972, nearly 8,000 people came from around the country to meet in Gary, Indiana. They were in town for the National Black Political Convention, the largest African American political gathering in history. Their mission was to create a plan to help extend the gains of the civil rights movement and address the many problems that Black communities continue to face. Gary Mayor Richard Hatchett hosted the three-day gathering. Participants included Jesse Jackson and Amari Baraka, a well-known writer and activist from Newark. Many attendees left the convention determined to run for office. In the 10 years following the convention, the number of elected Black politicians in the United States grew from 2,200 to more than 5,000. Page 63, Jordan and Young. In 1972, Barbara Jordan of Texas and Andrew Young of Georgia, both Democrats, were elected to the House of Representatives. Jordan, a lawyer, had served 6 years in the Texas state legislature. Young had been a close friend and chief aide to Martin Luther King. They became the first African Americans from the Deep South to serve in Congress in the 20th century. Maynard Jackson. Maynard Jackson was working as a lawyer when he ran for the Senate in 1968. He lost that race, but it prepared him for his later successful campaigns. In 1973, Jackson was elected mayor of Atlanta. His victory made him the first African American mayor of a major southern city. He won by a solid majority, capturing 60% of the vote. He served 8 years as mayor, then returned for a third term in 1990. While in office, Jackson helped create new opportunities for minority-owned companies to do business with the city. After his death, the Atlanta Hartsfield Airport was renamed the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in his honor. Historic keynote. In 1976, Barbara Jordan became the first woman and the first African American to deliver the keynote address at a major political party convention. The nation had first witnessed her impressive speaking skills 2 years earlier during President Kenneth Richard Nixon's televised impeachment hearings. She had spoken forcefully about the role of the Constitution in government. At the Democratic National Convention in New York City, Jordan outlined her vision of America's destiny. "We are a people in search of our future," she said. "We are a people in search of a national community. We are a people trying not only to solve the problems of the present, unemployment, inflation, but we are attempting on a larger scale to fulfill the promise of America." Patricia Roberts Harris and Andrew Young. When Jimmy Carter was elected president in 1976, he assembled the most diverse cabinet in American history. He appointed Patricia Roberts Harris as Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. When she took office in 1977, she became the first Black woman to hold a cabinet position. By then, she was used to being first. She had already been the first Black woman to serve as an ambassador to Luxembourg. Before that, she had been the first Black woman to serve as dean of a law school, Howard University. And even before that, she had graduated first in her law school class at George Washington University. Also in 1977, Andrew Young became the first African American ambassador to the United States. Now, we have 1 minute left. Let's see how far we can get on page 60. Let's see. No, we're going to go ahead and stop right here. Tomorrow we will pick up on page 64. We will be reading about Harold Washington, Run, Jesse, Run, Jesse Jackson, Colin Powell, David Dinkins, Carol Moseley Braun, and Douglas Wilder. Stay tuned for tomorrow's read.